Hello all, my name is Cricket Estrada. I'm a flight attendant. And honestly, it's something that I never thought I would do. I never even pictured myself doing it. And I'm going to tell you how and why I started doing this, where I'm at. And, I know there's a lot of flight attendants out there that share their experiences, and they're all awesome, and I like them, and I watch them, and some of them even fly with my own company. But I did see online, there's a couple websites out there, one on Facebook that some of you might know about called Flight Attendant Career Connections. And the other day I saw somebody that posted a comment like, hey, are there any more flight attendant vloggers out there? And if so, I want to let me know who they are, or I want to follow them. And I honestly wasn't going to share my flight attendant side of my life. I don't know why. No real reason. I just wasn't going to really share it. Wasn't even going to really advertise it. But, I decided, what the heck. And I'm going to get into that, and that's going to make more sense here in a little bit. But I'm actually pretty new. I've only been out of training for about a month, and I've learned a lot. It's a process. And those of you who already are a flight attendant, you'll know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are trying to be will know what I'm talking about. And those of you who are thinking about doing it will know what I'm talking about eventually. So let me just kind of jump in. So I was retired. I retired at a pretty young age. I retired at 41. And I had a friend of mine who flies for United. And she stayed with us one weekend. And actually, I hadn't known her before then, and she's become a friend since then. But we had an Airbnb, and we lived in San Diego, and we'd Airbnb our house out, sometimes our room, and then we also had a sailboat. She came and Airbnb'd with us, and I got to know her. She was super nice. Well, anyway, in conversation, she's like, Cricket, you need to be a flight attendant. You should be a flight attendant. You'd be great at it. You're really good with people. And I think I'm good with people, but I'm not like my wife. She's one of those that she walks in a room and everyone's talking to her and laughing. Me, I take a little bit more. She's my icebreaker usually, but I still am pretty good with people. But anyway, so she, encouraged me, and I was kind of like, I don't really see me doing that. That's not me. And she just insisted, and for whatever reason, the more and more I thought about it, I thought, that might be kind of fun. And I kind of saw ways that I could incorporate it with my current life. I have a past in medicine and a past in architecture. And then I've also been doing photography for a long time. And one of the things that I've always dreamed about, which a lot of people do, whether they're photographers or not, is traveling the world and photographing new things and just seeing them. So more and more I thought about it, I'm like, that'd be it would be fun. It really would be fun. I've always loved flight. Like so many flight attendants out there, they're like, oh, I love airplanes. Every time I looked up and saw one as a kid, I wished I could be on it. Here you are, pretty much all of us. So anyway, I thought, that'd be a lot of fun. And I could incorporate my love for photography and video and hopefully go do things and see them and photograph things that I've always wanted to photograph. So I did. And I had my mind set on United because that's who she worked for. So I'm a good person. I'm a hard worker. My parents raised me right. And I thought, I've never really had trouble getting jobs and not too much trouble. But, I didn't think it was going to be that difficult. So I put my application into United. And so there's a process with most flight airlines. It's not as simple as, you put your application in and then you get an interview and then you have the job. It's really much more involved than that. It's a whole process. And it depends on what airline you work for, but it's, an interview. There could be a video interview, phone interview, there's just a ton of things. And you'll learn that, and you'll even understand that as I kind of tell my experience. Well, long and short is I got what we call a TBNT, thanks but no thanks. I filled out the application, got an invite for the video interview, did the video interview, then thanks but no thanks. I was kind of bummed out, but oh well. then I thought, I really wanted to work for one of what we call the legacy carriers, which is Delta, United, American, that kind of thing. And, I found that a lot of other people, potential flight attendants, felt the same way. So then I applied with Delta, and I did really well on that one. I did the interview, got invited for a video interview, made that. I believe it was a phone interview. Made that, and then got invited for a face-to-face. They flew me all the way to Atlanta to do a face-to-face, and I was pretty excited. And by this time, I'd pretty much learned, I pretty much already learned that there is a lot of people that want to become a flight attendant, and the competition is high. And to put that in perspective, when I got my face-to-face interview in Atlanta, they flew me there. I didn't pay for it. I can't remember if they paid for my hotel. No, I think I paid for that. Anyway, and so we get in, we all arrive, and it was a lot of fun. Everyone was very welcoming. And anyway, one of the higher ups, lady in charge of probably like all of the flight attendants, and Delta has a ton of them, basically said, hey, you guys should be very proud. No matter what happens here today, you need to be proud, because they were hiring about 1,000 flight attendants, and that was last year in 2017. And she said, it is harder to get into Harvard than it is to get it's harder to get a job at Delta than it is to get into Harvard. And she said, and she had an exact number. All I know, it was 74,000 and something, but she said, we have had 74,000, blah, 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 an exact number of applicants. So the very fact that you're here, you should feel proud. And the reason why she said that, because the reality of it is out of those 74,000 people who applied, it kept on getting cut down. And, so, I mean, again, you apply. And if they like you, then you get the video interview. It's not a given, if they like you. And then you do the video interview. And if they like you past that, then you do the phone, So I mean, people are being dropped all the time. So the fact that we made it to the face-to-face, she was saying you should be proud of it, and I was. And I realized, and I already knew at that point in time how difficult it was to get a job. Long and short, I didn't get that job either. And I knew it. And it was pretty interesting. Maybe I'll do another vlog on that whole experience, maybe to help you guys out, even though it was over a year ago, and I'm sure they changed their things. But I'll do that. I'll do that another time. Anyway, so one of the things that I will tell you is that the other day I was on flight attendant career connections, or whatever that is I spoke of, and I'll have the link down below if you don't know about it or you want to join it. And there are so many people that are wanting to be aspiring flight attendants, and I see their thought process and their actions and all that are very similar to how mine were when I didn't know better. Anyway, and then this one guy was like, oh, I'm only going to apply for the main lines. And I was like, that's great, but you don't be surprised if you change your strategy. And that's exactly what I did. So I'll go into that more. I'm going to keep my videos short. I'm going to keep them short, 5-10 minutes. I just like to keep them short, and then we'll pick up on where we're at on the next video. So anyway, and what I mean by that is, so I'll finish with what my strategy was and is. So my strategy was I wanted to work with United and Delta. That was pretty much it. I got shot down. Then I kind of started, I didn't just apply to everybody, and I don't recommend you just apply to everybody. I recommend that you look and research your companies and decide who is going to benefit you. And there's also a couple of websites that you can go to, and I'll have those links down below as well, of airlines or websites that have all the airlines that are hiring. Anyway, so but that was my strategy, was to only apply those. And then when I got shot down, I thought, I'll apply to a couple companies. And I there's a bunch of regionals out there, and I'll talk more about regionals later. And after a while, I was getting shot down by everybody. And I was kind of bummed out because it's like, I'm a good person, I'm a hard worker, I was raised right, I have really good work ethics, and I always give, not only with whoever I work with in life, but even just everything I do, more than is needed. And I was kind of getting bummed out. So my strategy was going in, it's like I realized, and I was under the impression that, hey, a lot of people go with regionals until they get some experience and then they'll try for a main line. The bottom line is that was my goal. That was my strategy. I'm like, oh, I really want to work for Delta United. But it's tough to get in there. I know nothing about the flight industry, so let me get my feet wet. Let me go work for a regional, smaller company, and then once I'm a little more seasoned, I'll apply. Well, for me, and this is just for me, that's not my strategy anymore. I basically got a job with a company. It's a quick growing company. They're in the middle of a transition, and I researched this and knew this even before they told me. And I have a pretty sweet deal. I'll go into that more. But what I've also learned is that, as one of my instructors said, who used to work for, other companies, that the grass is always greener on the other side. And at this point in time, everything in life is fluid. At this point in time, I don't see myself working for a mainline carrier. And I'll explain the reason why in the next video. But I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I have a great situation. If you would have told me that I would have this situation going in, I would have never thought. And if you even were to tell any seasoned flight attendant, there's a lot of them out there that have been working 20, 25 years with the main lines. And if you would tell them my situation, if they could have that, not only where they're at 20 some years into it, but especially fresh out of flight attendant training, they would have thought they won the lottery. So I'll go into that some more. I'll probably go backtrack a little bit. I really want to share my whole experience with you in terms of the beginnings, all the way to where I'm at now. I'm 1 month, a little bit over a month in training. I'm loving it. I'm actually sitting in Minneapolis, St. Paul right now. We flew in last night. We had a layover, went to the Mall of America this morning. Never been there. And we're supposed to fly out to Vegas tonight. We were supposed to fly to Vegas and then Vegas to Dallas-Fort Worth. There's been a lot of weather going through the area. But now our flight's delayed, and we still are flying to Vegas, but then now they're deadheading us back home to Fort Lauderdale after that, whereas we were supposed to stay in, go to Dallas-Fort Worth, lay over there, and then do a leg from Dallas-Fort Worth to Fort Lauderdale tomorrow. But anyway, I've overran my video. I'll explain I'll go a little bit more in depth on my next video, and hopefully I can help you out, entertain you, answer any questions you might have. I'm always love to hear your input. Everything that I talk about is my perspective and my experience, so it's different for everybody. So feel free to enlighten me on some stuff. I learned from you as much as maybe you might learn from me. And so on this next video, let's see. So I talked about how I kind of got started, my friend. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit, and we'll start with that whole hiring process and that kind of thing, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching, and I'll get the next video up as soon as I can. It's what is today? Today's Christmas is Tuesday. Today is Friday, so I probably won't have another video up before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Travel safe, and I'll see you soon.